It is it is my sincere joy to be part of the Accelerated Evolution Academy. Uh, one of the things I admire about you and your leadership is that you say what you mean and you mean what you say. You say what you mean what you say. You walk the walk. And so I am a seeker. I've been a seeker my whole life. My history is addiction, anxiety, overcoming intense experiences from my childhood. And I had I had learned so many different modalities, and really I was doing very well. I was living a life without alcohol, and so I was in powerful spiritual development. And being that I believe better is possible, and I want to live the best life, and I have that passion and that hunger to enjoy this beautiful life that I've been given. I was working with a coach, Angela Thurston, and she introduced me to accelerated evolution, and it blew my mind. It connected me to my strength and my spirit uh, in a way I had never experienced. So I was able to make peace with devastating events from my past that I actually thought I had made peace with, but in fact, they were still holding me back from being the light I am meant to be in the world. And so accelerate. And so as soon as that happens, like when you've had many of these, I know, because you're always searching for things. And when you find something that blows your mind, you share it with everyone. And so that became my mission. And so I came to the training and I met you and your incredible team, who all walk the walk and talk the talk. Um, because, leadership is making mistakes. People make mistakes. And so that for me, one of my mentors years ago said, you can measure your relationships by how well they withstand mistakes, because you will make them. And that's when you know how strong is the connection you have with people. Because if you make a mistake and how you address it and how you deal with it, that shows who you are, that shows your character. And so whether or not your relationship will allow you to make amends for your misstep, that shows you how strong the connection is. And so, what I love in the accelerated evolution community is that we all learn together, and we all have a passion. Um, it sounds cliche, but what came up to me is to make the world a better place, because we know what's possible. We have all experienced deep peace and power and joy because of this work. I'll speak for myself. I've experienced really deep peace and joy and love, opening up to love. I mean, accelerated evolution, these practices, um, they give me a path into myself so that I have clear direction and clear action steps to experience the challenges and find the wisdom in them, because it's all for our awakening.
Beautifully shared, Heidi. You said something very potent here to me and very vulnerable and real, is that the path of leadership truly is about finding a pathway into your true self and to face those particular demons that we might have of addictions, smallnesses, mental addictions, emotional smallnesses, imprints that are no longer serving us or that are detrimental to our soul, to our being, and to our evolution. But what I really love about you, and I want you to speak about this, please. There's this loving feminine ferocity. It's a ferocity. It's like you, but it's feminine you have, that is a seeker, not just to seek truths outside of yourself and to throw yourself at the feet of others and to be um, diminishing of your own self. You have this ferocity in yourself, and that you call upon all the people, the fellow trainers that you work with, the fellow students you mentor, I've seen, you call upon them to go deep and to get genuine, and you don't let them off the hook with whatever nitty gritty, whatever jangle that they have. Can you share about that ferocity of love that you have that's sourced in your feminine leadership?
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for those kind words. Um, it's been a journey to um, embody the feminine in me, because I have the warrior energy, and that comes from my life experience, having to address hardship, and having this mama bear energy when there was injustice. I had the strength to stand up where not everybody does. I always had that. I could always find it for other people. And so, what happened in the early days for me is, like, I developed a lot of masculine traits, um, being very direct, being very hard, being very focused, and not showing vulnerability, being super super strong, having this idea that as a woman in the business world, I needed to be masculine. I needed to be like the men around me in order to be taken seriously. And so this was a disconnect, right? Because I'm not a man, and I'm not, I don't identify as a man. It simply was, I needed to take care of myself. I was fiercely independent, and so this is what arose in me. And you talk about having shells. I had created this masculine shell over the feminine um, energy that I have. And of course, you also talk about, as men and women, we have both feminine and masculine energy, and we move between the two. Like, all of my favorite male leaders that I resonate with have, and, you know, show their feminine side, that they have, they go with the flow, that they that they are loving and kind, and this sense of humor and collaboration, etc. So it's been a journey to to recognize that I didn't have to fight anymore. That was a huge
Yes.
that was a huge insight, that I could put down my sword. And I actually talk about that in my book, Making Friends with the Boogeyman, Transforming Tragedy into Triumph, to let go of that feminine warrior in me. Like, that wasn't the only way. She's just one part of me.
Yes.
And so I have that when I need it. I have that. But also, what I see in the world that's called for is a softness, and I was longing for that softness in myself. And working with you and the team at Accelerated Evolution, really, you celebrate the feminine for both sides, right? For the male bodied and female bodied. And when I looked in the eyes of the young men that were hanging on your every word, and the way that you spoke of respecting the goddess and understanding the power of the goddess, and so teaching them that we need both masculine and feminine, and just being in a place where the feminine is celebrated and respected. This has really helped me to nourish this part of myself, and really watch it grow, and recognize that this is a powerful place to meet. Beauty is it's a powerful expression. And it's not masculine or feminine. However, the way that I embody beauty is feminine. And so, I learned to stop being afraid of my beauty and to stop being afraid of my feminine. The old story was that vulnerability was weak and that people would take advantage of it, because I had that experience in the past where, again, this is in the book, where I witnessed women being um, violated. And, there wasn't peace between the masculine and the feminine. And, there was many experiences of the masculine being very painful and unkind and cruel even. And this happens in life. And so for a long time, I held on to that story that men were bad and men were evil. And obviously, I didn't have any loving relationships. There were no intimate partners when I was holding
Yes.
on to that, right? And so, the journey became about, well, what if there are good men? And when I started putting my attention on the loving men in the world, here's a surprise. I met more loving men, Satyen. I met more, yeah, right? Because what we put our attention on expands. And, I met my husband many years ago. Like we met in 1998, but we didn't actually start being a couple until 2007. So there was a long period of getting to know each other and learning his sensitive side, his vulnerabilities, and yeah, you can have both. And so yeah, that's a long-winded answer, but it's like it's a journey.
Beautifully expressed. As you were sharing this, I was seeing many of my WarriorSage sisters go through similar arcs of overly identifying with their masculine, thinking that's the true power. They see the power imprints in the world for hundreds, thousands of years. Men have been at the top for whatever reasons, and everyone has their own view of that. And but this reclamation and relaxing into reclaiming and loving your natural core instinctual feminine spiritual essence. I mean, you look totally different than when I first saw you. Your radiance, I mean, you've always been beautiful, but there's this deeper inner radiance that's just pouring through you, a genuineness, um, a magnetism where it's like I feel safe. All our teammates, all our students, everyone I know that comes in your association, they naturally feel to open up with you. They naturally feel that you're on their side. They naturally feel that you're behind them or below them, lifting them up, Heidi. This is this beautiful, it's not invisible, it's not this gregarious leadership, externalized form. It's this beautiful upliftment from your soul, softly cradling their hearts and their capacities and their being, and nurturing, massaging, loving, and pointing, and processing, and aligning any disharmonies in being. You're just natural at this. You don't even have to do much, Heidi. And that's one of the things I wanted to point out in leadership. It's not always what we have to externally do. We don't have to be constantly doing, doing, doing. But an example like you, who's rested in the depth of your true feminine essence, that is a natural power, not a forced power, a natural power that is of benevolence, sourced in grace, sourced in care, sourced in bringing the whole together, up together. So thank you for being such a you walking that walk as well. You know, I know you shared this with me a few times. This walking your walk is a valuable piece in leadership. As leaders, as conscious leaders, enlightened leaders, if we have a direction, a vision, a mission which has greater goodness in some way, who must we be that others would want to follow, not out of coercion or just a carrot or a stick, but out of their own natural heart volition, their natural being, their natural volition. You've been in other circles, many other types of leadership circles, and we don't have to mention names, but you've told me, that not everyone walks their talk, and there's a distinction between those who do. Can you share about that, what you've experienced in a generalized way, in a way, not in a critical way, but in a calling way that calls us to, those of us who are already in leadership positions, to maybe clean up those shadows. So please share about that.
Yes.
Because you are a
Well,
leader, you're an incredible leader in many, many, many circles you've been in as a leader. So I'd love you to share about that, the
thank
shadow
you.
and the light.
Well, this is, openness to whatever's in front of you. And, you were speaking about, holding people from underneath. So this type of servant leadership. And so for me, the shift happened like when I was in management, I was a terrible manager because I wanted everybody to be like me. I wanted them to have the same work ethic and A, B, C, D, do the things the way I did them because then I knew what the results would be. And so, 50% of the time that worked well because people resonated with me, they understand. And then 50% of the time it was a battle. And this is when I was in my masculine. And so one of the powerful distinctions now that I am in accelerated evolution and I have words for the shift, I see everyone as a conscious being with choice. You gave me those words. So my authentic attraction is always to see the best in people. However, I still struggled with trying to make them the way I wanted them to be, to follow me and get things done. And so when I see people as a conscious being with choice, meaning that they are a divine being in their own right, they have their own truth and wisdom to follow. So having my faith that that is occurring. So with my clients, you've taught me to focus on that, put my attention on that powerful being, knowing they have the answers that they need. As a coach, I don't need to have answers. I just need to feel their power, have faith in it, and then guide them with questions to that truth of who they are. And so as leaders, when we are dropped into the mission, like you were talking about, when we are clear on the mission, WarriorSage, that you want to um, nurture this leadership to unify and mobilize, that you transmit that, Satyen. And so I'm drawn to that in you. This is why I want to collaborate with you. This is these are the people that I want to work with. And this is always in my past life, I was attracted to leaders and managers that they had that, they knew what they needed to accomplish, and so they led with love. So you can lead with love and still be powerful, right? But it takes vulnerability to do that. It's a risk, right? It's a risk as a man to show sensitivity in a powerful world. It's a risk as a woman to show sensitivity and expect still to be taken seriously and to be respected and to be viewed as a powerful leader.
Thank you. Thank you. So well expressed. What do you think? Where are the deepest shadows you've seen in leadership?
Yeah, fear uh, magnifies our shadows. When we resist, I mean, fear is a natural and important part of our being, and It's meant to show us the places that need our love and attention. And so, whatever comes up for us as leaders, um, you know, we know where things are not working. So, if I am struggling, one of my things was always communication, struggling with communication, because back in the day when I was in the masculine, I was trying to tell, right? Like that forcing out. And leadership is about listening to your team, listening to yourself. When I listen to myself, I know what needs attention. I know where I need to be honest with my being, and with my husband, with my friends, with my clients, with the team at Accelerated Evolution. I know where my mistakes are, and so I need to step up and not hide from them. um, because what I know is my mistakes now, I recognize that they are teaching opportunities. If I already knew, then I would be doing whatever it is I need to do. It's the mistakes that help me recognize, ooh, this didn't work. Okay, I'm going to admit I made a mistake. I don't need to have all the answers. So this is the thing, is like, I would invite all of us leaders to own our mistakes, right? Those are the best leaders, is when they say, I screwed up. I thought this was going to happen if I did this and it didn't. So ask for help. That's the other thing, is that is another really powerful message of relaxing into my feminine, is that it's strong. It is strength to ask for help.
Beautifully expressed. What I love about you, Heidi, is you're not only sharing the wisdom from your experience, you too are transmitting the embodiment, the living embodiment. These things, when they're embodied, we don't need to talk about them so much. So it's sometimes challenging and to express something that's deeply embodied, which we're just living naturally. And I want to commend you and acknowledge you, because you weren't living this naturally. It is your nature, but something was on top of the nature, as you shared your shells that you accumulated masculine through life. And I truly feel that every woman who's listening here, who can relate to being in the working world, the business world, has been touched by what you have to share. And I'm going to invite all of you who are listening in that space to recognize that the feminine within you, this beautiful depth of being, this ocean of sacred consciousness, you're a vessel for life, for love. You are love itself, truly. Love itself, not an aspect of love, not a manifestation, but love itself. If we were to open to the depth and degree and to the ocean within of the love that is already us, that seeking urge to get love, be filled by love, or to accept anything less than love that might feel like love, but it's not, but our psyche is starving for contact and connection. But if we start to remember, honor our sacred self, and recognize this clamoring I have to fill myself with love, to empty myself, to sacrifice my true self, doesn't need to be done anymore. Because when we know that we are love, the seeking for love ends and the expression of love begins, and the sharing of love matures and magnifies. So you are that, and I want to acknowledge you for that. I've seen that over the years. Every time I see you and my team, we all light up. Not only do you have this profound heart space, you also have this great impeccability, exactness, precision, and follow through, which usually they go not hand in hand. Usually that's extreme. Tell me about this unique flow that you've cultivated, this capacity to take care of the minutia, take care of the big things, take care of the middle things, take care of the small things, but you don't seem to lose your mind over it. And you tend to still stay in your feminine flow. They share some secrets around that.
Oh, well, thank you. Uh, yes, not always that way. Um, it is, I mean, we all of us have natural uh, talents and strengths. And so details, I notice details. So in the past, when I was, all about making it my way and obsessing and worrying and all of these, I thought that meant that I would be better, like taking on this responsibility for things being at a certain level. And it was exhausting and it was draining. And I learned in my personal development to give myself a break, to give myself a break. And so, like you said, um, just to relax into who I am. And, I've heard you talk about, these challenges, the humanity, we all have these fears of I'm not good enough, I don't belong. Um, these things always come up. They're lessons that we live. And the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz is one of the best books I've ever read. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. And, just giving myself permission that my best is good enough, whatever that is in this moment. Sometimes it's 150%, sometimes it's 25%. As long as I genuinely am giving it my all in that moment, I'm happy now. I'm happy for that. And, what I recognize, what's helped me soften is that I'm not alone. I don't have to do everything. There's understanding that I flourish with connection and that everybody gets to shine. Everybody gets to shine their light. Everyone has their strengths that they naturally do, that it's easy for them to do. And so, when we hear as leaders to choose people to live their strengths, to contribute from their strengths, don't get someone who is an exceptional speaker to do the bookkeeping. This is not helping anybody. Sure, they may be good at bookkeeping because they've had to be, and all of us small businesses owners have had to learn things like bookkeeping, but that doesn't mean that that's our genius, as I've heard that said. Live from your genius, lead from your genius. And so, reach out, open up to help from others, which I've mentioned already. And yeah, look after yourself, take care of yourself. That's the other huge calling in the world, is we don't need to crush it. I don't like that term. I've heard it and I get it, and that can work for people. I honestly, with my soul, believe that what is in my highest good is in the highest good for everyone, and vice versa. So, like you were talking about earlier, when we are listening to our soul and caring for ourselves, we're caring for the world. So, this is how it starts, right? If I want more love in my life, when I was so desperately lonely, the best advice I was given is focus on the love you already have and watch love grow in your life. Right? So this is what we do, is love ourselves, and that is going to help us love the world.
Thank you. As you're sharing, I just feel a bouquet of sacred flowers growing in this space. I hope everyone can pick one or at least smell this bouquet in your being. Please share about your book. I'd love you to share about your book.
All right. Well, here is my baby. Uh, Making Friends with the Boogeyman, Transforming Tragedy into Triumph. And I absolutely adore this image. This comes from the polarity work that we do at Accelerated Evolution, that we have both light and dark in us. And the more we try to suppress the darkness, the more we uh, resist it, the stronger it becomes. And ultimately, our darkness feeds our light, right? All of the painful things that I've experienced in my life have given me strength. They have given me compassion. They have allowed me to love as deeply as I do. I wouldn't be who I am without these dark places, learning to make friends with shame, learning to make friends with anger, learning to make friends with fear, letting them have a seat at the table, as our beloved Sue-Ann McCara always talks at it. All are welcome here. And that's what making friends with the boogeyman is. It's about accepting myself as deeply as I can. And this is a journey in life. Like, I accept myself the best I can today. Tomorrow, 10 years from now, it's going to be at an even deeper level, right? Because that's what happens in life. Is so, when I look back at the different iterations of myself, as myself as an alcoholic, myself as a drug addict, I love those iterations of me so deeply because I learned, those were empowering lessons. I understand the pain of loneliness, the pain of self-hatred, because I've had that experience. So I wouldn't trade those dark moments for anything. That is what led me to the light that I am. And I mean, the light is always there. I was talking with Sue-Ann about this. We go into these places of addiction, and struggling with self-hatred, struggling with whatever it is. The light in us is always there. And it's not that you need to recreate anything. It really is remembering who you are. And so that may be a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's the truth. The light in me sees the light in you. And now that I've connected so deeply with my light that I can radiate, now it is my mission to show others the way. I get to be the light so others can see the way. When people know what's possible, they may not do it exactly the way that I did it. We just talked about that earlier. It's like, we're transmitting. I transmit my experience, you, Satyen, transmit yours. People resonate with it. And then they're like, oh, I could do something like that. This is possible. You can be an addict and you can move forward from that and do something different.
Thank you so much. In our last few moments, I'd love you to just check in. And what last words from your heart and soul would you love to share about enlightened leadership with us?
Hmm. Yeah, enlightened leadership. Listen to your heart, because you have been created exactly the way that you are, so that you have a specific voice for the people that will follow you. So it's not, you don't get to lead everybody. You lead the people that resonate with you in your journey the way that you've gotten there. And so, yeah, embracing that, embracing any of the broken moments in that, because they led you there. They led you where you are. And, leaders, all of us make mistakes because we're human and we're still here in this human plane. And that's part of the game. And so loving yourself through your mistakes will give you power. Loving your team through their mistakes will give them power. And yeah, just love the messiness.
I love it. Thank you. It's a good reminder for me today. The cabin I'm staying at here in Hawaii is getting messy without my wife and just my son here. So the inner and outer messes. Heidi, this has been extraordinary. Every time I drop in with you, there's always a magical feeling and effervescence I have. And I am grateful on behalf of everyone listening. I know, especially the women, but the men too, myself, have been touched not just by your words, but your soul vivaciousness and your invitation to live deeply from the enlightened feminine spirit that you actually are and to be the love that you are. So thank you. How can our friends get in touch with you regarding your book, your coaching, your offerings?
You're so kind. Thank you, Satyen. HeidiCoach.com is my website. So Heidi, Heidi, coach, COACH.com. And that'll tell you the book. They'll tell you about my coaching. And yeah, I look forward to connecting with all of you that are curious about embracing your divine feminine. I had no idea that's what we would be talking about today. So thank you.
I think we were both led by something deeper than just our own individual minds. Thank you, Warrior Sages. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you all for dialing in and dropping in. Please share enthusiastically with other leaders who could be touched by this. All my love and blessings. Aho. Aho. And aloha from Hawaii.